It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. I think I just made up a key there, whatever. I'm in low mode lately, voice wise. Um, Part of it is I wake up every morning lately with my eyes swollen. Man, those first of the day Leanna Cares clients are just like they get treated to, and as it goes down, like as the day goes on, it reduces, but it's not been fun. But it's Feedback Friday. Um, I keep changing my mind about how to address the feedback this week. So I'm going to start talking and see how it goes. Um, Apologize for all the ads on the Manly Monday this week. I didn't realize I've had mid-rolls turned on in my videos. I put them on for Two Women Talking because those videos are so long, but I don't really find they increase. I don't terribly care about the revenue I make directly from YouTube. It's a little bit, but I primarily, the revenue I focus on is from the services I do in tangent with this channel. Now's a good time to do help support this channel. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Ko-fi.com/Leanna K. We made our goal this week. Yay. Of this, well, week-ish. We've gotten 6 for this period. Let's do another 6. Go team. Some people are being super generous and dropping like a few $100 at a click. And whoo, to me that's excessive, but thank you. But yeah, one of the things based on the stuff we've been talking about on Mondays lately with men who were abused, and not even like men who have bad experiences, because I have clients and friends who don't necessarily want to label what happened abuse, but they're scarred from it, and they need help, closing that chapter to start a new one. And the more it really seems like that needs to be something where the barrier to entry is very low. It's not the same as, say, the workshops I do that I believe very strongly in a small ticket price so that everybody there is prepared to work. Something like this, it needs to be free. But then how do I pay facilitators and so on for their time? How do I justify it to myself? And as a lot of people, zeroed in on, getting sponsorship for those sorts of things is difficult because of the stigma surrounding it. So I'm toying on a crowdfund. But what do you guys think about that? I asked the patrons about this. And I don't know, is this something you think people would fund? Just, regularly scheduled hangouts where people can come in and they know it's going to be a safe environment to talk about man stuff. And there's 2 distinct groups, right? Some people who want it to be men only. And I have some long-term concerns about that, but in the short term, all right. But then there are people who actually want to have discussions about stuff with women there and getting a female perspective. They're not the same constituency. And so it's sort of both. And, the whole idea is that it's a place where you can go and, not get jumped on. Obviously, there are going to be some conduct rules just for the respect of everybody there. But, I do think sometimes people, if there's something they feel like they can't say, it rattles around inside them and gets really, really big. instead of just being able to say it with a forum of, look, there's just something I need to say. I know the world thinks it's bad, but I have to say it. I have to just get it off my chest. And be able to say, I just want to be able to say this, and then let them set what kind of feedback they're looking for. Because I know that that when you feel like you can't say something, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And, you know, the bulk of my channel is men who watch. So what do you think? What do you think about that? And I put that at the beginning so that people will watch it. Because I've been really, really humbled by the response to the last couple of videos. Somebody suggested I do a video on men who have gotten out of abusive situations, how they're doing a few years later. And that's something I'm pondering. And, you know, I did see a lot of people reflecting their own circumstances into the Steven Crowder video. And again, that's not something I want to criticize. I just want to give an alternate framing because, you know, part of what I do is analyzing conversations. And then the next workshop is going to be on healthy conflict, by the way, and it's going to be in June. We don't want to do them. See, that's why I want to have the bubbles, like the drop-in bubbles that are less formal, and then have the workshops like every couple months. Because some people do need it more often. Some people need it less often. So, you know, some people said comments like, that was really good for me. I really needed that. Can we do it again? So yes, we're going to be doing it in June, which is just next month. And then I'm not sure about summer because people go away. Babble, babble, babble. Tangents. But yes, we are going to do another one, and it's going to be on healthy conflict. Because it was really interesting to see the different perspectives and the end result of a lot of gaslighting that some men have dealt with, and they were imprinting that on the Crowder video. And it is fair to say it's one video that, yes, it could be horrendously misleading. Who knows? I still, it's interesting that the number of people who saw the one car based on his level of income as a real marker. And other people like me were like, man, put out the cigar. She's pregnant, you know. But other people were like, no, she's lazy and he's this. And it's really easy to dismiss those people as just misogynist. I often think that's too simple. Because a lot of things like racism, homophobia, transphobia, misogyny, they're reactions, right? And so they're symptoms, not a cause. And that to me is people with their own bad experiences. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people talking about, you know, encounters with women who were very materialistic and superficial, and it's left a really bad taste in their mouth. And it's real easy to tell guys, well, not all women are like that. And this is when, you know, I have to remind myself I have guy energy, and guys talk to me like another guy. And that's cool, because in a lot of ways I am. And I know I'm not typical. But I know, like, even my very girly friends, wanting to feel cared for is not about money. It's about security and stability and validation. And so, yeah, I really do think that the best format for healing in this way is small groups that are, you know, not available to the entire internet. Though some people did suggest I do webinars where I break down the different chunks of what I did last weekend. So I'm considering that as well. But that, I mean, that's my gentle response to some of the comments. And it's interesting because with two women talking this week, I expected to take a lot more crap. But just based on what I saw on Twitter about all the Bo-Katan stands, but Twitter's Twitter, right? And it's interesting. A lot of people reacted very positively to that thing I said about redemption right at the end of this part. And to what Song said about, just wanting girlier characters. And I thought that was cool. I'm really glad that other people see that about redemption. I mean, as somebody who had to earn the trust of people, especially gamers, because it's an example of, on paper, all the descriptors they think they're going to get something very different from me than they get. And that's why I think the Twitch streams are so important, because anybody can just show up, check it out, watch me fuck around, right? And you can't really fake that when you're playing a game and just reacting. And, I'm a giant butthead who likes stupid things, and I'll take things seriously, but there's a time to take things seriously and a times to not. And I like there being the problem with a lot of media, especially a lot of sci-fi media, is one or two female characters have to represent the same amount of people as 4 or 5 male characters in a show. And that is just too much lifting for anyone, right? So, and then because the reason I believe strongly in that is when we look at something like She-Hulk and the reaction to that, the fact that there weren't more prominent supporting male characters who weren't, Matt Murdock, meant guys saw themselves in the assholes she encountered. I really don't think that was the intent. I really don't. But it is valid that that's what people saw. And that's why this whole... When I was doing television and I was doing a show, it was designed, primary demographic for TV was 18 to 24 male back then. So that was the primary audience. But I always felt really strongly, look, you can target that audience without repelling other audiences. It's one thing to go, this isn't for me. It's another thing to go, I don't believe that I'm ever attacked by media, but this is repellent. This is actively off-putting. And it doesn't have to be, because I do think that media for women is a great opportunity to show realistic or authentic male characters. And so often they're, Edward Cullen. And then media for men has very, very one-dimensional female characters. It doesn't have to be that way, because people want a well-developed love interest. And it's amazing how many development meetings I'd be in where people either thought male and female characters were interchangeable. I had this idea for a show, and it was, a plus-size woman character who the whole idea is she was man-hungry. Like, I wanted a plus-size woman to be sexual, to exist below the waist. And they were like, can you make her a gay man? It's like, that completely defeats the purpose. These are not interchangeable. And that was it for that. I've been in other meetings where it's like, and then there's the girlfriend. It's like, okay, what does she do? Well, she's the girlfriend. okay, what does she do? Who is she? What does she do in the story besides being the girlfriend? Because whenever it's the boyfriend in a show, he has to be something important. That's why you can't just have regular guy and She-Hulk, right? It's got to be Matt Murdock. And the thing I liked about when Gail Simone wrote Wonder Woman, she had her dating just a regular dude. And it really worked because it's like, yeah, she needs someone who's going to look after the shit while she's out saving the world. And I guess unless you are kind of a superhero the way I am, modest, that was a joke. You don't realize how important it is to have that support, somebody who's not in competition with you. And so often they try to, which is why I say, and it's not therapy, core values are more important relationships and common interests. This idea that you have to match each other, that you have to be equal instead of complementary. And it's two ways of getting to balance. And both can work. But unfortunately, the idea of complementarianism is a church thing. And it's to men make money, women take care of the home. Instead of the idea being, okay, somebody has to do all this stuff in a household. And it can't be all on one person. And there is no should, there's no be wifely, there's no be a real man. There's what's the agreement? What's the agreement going in about who does what? And no one should feel like it's too much, because that breeds resentment, and that is a relationship killer no matter how much you love each other. And I'll leave that there, but that's an element of authenticity that when you get around groups of women business owners, you hear things like, the most romantic thing to me is a clean kitchen. Somebody handling something. That's what I need. Yes, you love the special moments and that whole thing of feeling like a woman, because you have no idea how when you have to do the hard charging stuff, or if you are a naturally hard charging person, how much you struggle with feeling inadequate as a woman or like you're not one. And as somebody who feels kind of both, there is a big difference between feeling like you are a woman and are bad at it and going, that's great. That's just not me. And when you're trying to force someone into a role they're just not going to go in, nothing good is going to come from that. And we do need more authentic stories. Meanwhile, the writers in Hollywood are on strike because executives think that scripts can be written by ChatGPT. Fuck us. See, there are untold stories. That's the thing. There are untold stories. There are authentic stories about men that haven't been told. There are authentic stories about women that haven't been told. And somebody linked to a clip of Kreia from Knights of the Republic. And man, it was just a dialogue read. It was just a voiceover. And it was so compelling. And I'm like, I so miss this. RPGs are so quick paced now. And they just let it hang. And it was this wonderful read. And it was simple. But I was reminded of how pulled in I was to that game. And we'll have a Song of Sparkle Muffin update very, very soon for you. We're putting it together right now. So that gets to the Trevor Project report. And the general consensus was, not surprising, in some cases, this is what we suspected, and now we have proof. And that's exciting. It's exciting when you can get evidence for something. because we'd known or suspected for a while that the negative messaging wasn't working. And I'm going to be going back on Armti Akila's channel to do another Two Vets and a Civilian, talking about going deeper dive into that data. And yeah, I mean, the inclusion of trans men is something Manly Monday is always trans inclusive, because I feel strongly that trans men get fucked over with erasure. And it's one thing to be villainized, it's another thing to be erased. And I know this because, when everybody was all about well, aren't you mad that this character's not a redhead anymore? And it's like, they were never gingers. It is a totally different thing when you take an actress and dye her hair versus everything else that comes with this growing out of your head naturally. They don't cast gingers in roles for redheads because Hollywood thinks we're ugly and we're difficult to like. We're this, we're that. They don't, there's no love for gingers. Bless Sadie Sink. She had to be so much better. That they love redheaded children, right? It's just when we get older that, oh no, you can't, you're pale, you're sickly, you're this, you're that. My boobs were just too fucking big to ever be a heroine. I was told as much. I mean, Christina Ricci got a breast reduction for a reason. But as I don't care if you replace Gwyneth Paltrow or Scarlett Johansson with dyed hair or a wig, or Katie Sackhoff in a wig with Halle Bailey. I'd rather that, because Bottle Redhead is not me. Nothing wrong with Bottle Redhead, but that's not all the other things that come with being a ginger. That does not validate me. That does not make me feel seen because somebody got their hair dyed red. And the only people I resent for having their hair dyed red are people who don't like trans people, because why can you alter your body and they can't? To me, it's the same thing, right? We get people like me who were born this way get replaced by people who just went to the salon and were expected to feel included. Fuck you. No, I don't. There's more to it than that. Like, the assumptions people make about you. And yes, I am aware. Song has, dyed hair. And like I said, Song's great. I have no problem with people dye their hair red. Good. Awesome. It's just the people that think it's the same. And it's not. Experiences are not interchangeable. Theme of the video, right? And so, since it's not me anyway, I don't care. I'd rather it go to, especially with black women, because the stereotypes about redheads and black women are the same. But I never felt included anyway. And that was the weird thing with all these tough chicks, right? The sword maiden thing. People are like, oh, you must feel so included. No, I don't. Well, why not? Well, because there's no pushback. At least with She-Hulk, she got into trouble and people got mad at her and things were hard. These sword maidens where people just follow around blindly, a Latino dude gets sidelined at his own fucking show and we're supposed to cheer. No, I'm not going to cheer. Because that's not what it's like to be that, to be a leader when the world sees you a certain way. And without that understanding of, no, you don't feel confident. No, you have doubts. It's not just saw a magical dinosaur, prophet. Like, no, it's not that fucking way. It's hard. Every woman who steps into that role is expected to be multiple things at once, compassionate and tough, never show doubt or fear, but be emotional as well, be soft, like never have a hair out of place, but go fight as well as the dudes. Like, do all the things where you're supposed to sweat and be dirty, but never get dirty or sweat. That's fucking bullshit. It's toxic. With black women, you hear them talk about the problem with the strong black woman thing. They don't want to have to be strong all the time. And that's truth. And these women who just, they show up and everything is easy because they're the chosen one and they have no doubts and she is great. And look, everybody follows her. That is not life. The best thing you can teach a young girl is that people are going to despise you if you try to do anything meaningful. That's a feature, not a bug. Do it anyway. But that's the problem. The minute you start doing that, you're a slut, you're a bitch, you're an ice queen, and then, well, dismissed. And it's a problem we have not solved for as a society, and there'll be more into him and talking, so I'll leave it there. But, that's why I kind of understand where guys are coming from with some of the reactions they have, even though they're, I think, wrong on the facts. And that's the thing. I want to get past the facts. I want to get into the feelings of the whole thing, because the feelings are real, and I don't want to fight about a TV show. I want to talk about that feeling and how we can do something about that feeling. I don't fucking care about a show. Like, I don't care. And one of the things I found really cool in the response to Wellness Wednesday was the comments about not surprised that pansexual people are struggling. Because, if you think biphobia and bi-erasure is bad, oh my God. I experienced it. You're a chaser. And I'm supposed to be just fine with being called a chaser, which is somebody who dehumanizes trans people. Not just, it's a fetish, right? It's not, I legitimately find these people attractive and whole people. It's like, oh no, you have a fetish. You're creepy. You're disgusting. And I'm supposed to be okay with being called that, or I'm a transphobe. And people find that discussion. That made it onto fucking websites and everything like that. And people find that discussion and me saying, I'm sorry, used in this context, that is a slur. I don't appreciate that. No, that is not me. And people still find it. Like, people who are otherwise very big, I appreciate what they do in the trans community. They think it's okay to laugh at me for that. And it's like, if you are demeaning the people whose brains see no difference, like, we don't have those hang-ups, what are you doing? But, it's that whole thing of, you'll just fuck anything. Like, no, you can see a fine work of art and not feel the urge to pull it off the wall. That's the whole problem with the LGBTQ plus umbrella, is that it's a bunch of groups pulled together for a numbers game that actually have nothing in common with each other. And because there's supposed to be this solidarity and everybody gets along, everything gets very flattened and derivative, and it's not helping. It's getting in the way. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do some positive content other than just, thirsting after people on Twitch. Anyway, that was a joke. Don't sexually harass. Not cool. And being appreciative and sexual harassment, not the same thing. Are you interested in the difference there? Maybe I should do one on how to pay a woman a compliment for Manly Monday. Anyway, that's my time. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford at ko-fi.com/Leanna K. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.